and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, then we'll do a roll call. I'll start. I'm Clint Derringer, Board President.
Colleen, Board Trustee. Laura, Board Trustee.
Tim Klepp, Trustee.
Ginny, Jeup, Trustee.
Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of the closed meeting agenda for March 23rd, 2026. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the closed meeting agenda for March 23rd.
Support.
Any discussion?
Yes, I moved to amend to make it open. I think that almost every term is there but one, so I think it's one we could discuss in the open.
I support that.
Okay, is there any discussion about the amendment?
Only that we want to make this as transparent as possible, the process and its salary. So let's bring it in front of the public so that they can hear how we're thinking.
Was
And
the
what?
last one open? The last time we negotiated the superintendent's contract or renegotiated? No, it was not.
Well, that's different. I mean, we switched lawyers.
How is it
There's
different?
lots of different.
Different person? Is that why it's different? Or?
Well, we have a different lawyer right now. I mean, I just feel like we want to make this process as transparent as possible, and the only thing left on here is salary. So let's talk about it out loud.
I don't see what the lawyer has to do with it. We're talking about a superintendent
Yeah, that's just
contract. And we did not obviously do this in closed session. We didn't do it in open session before, so I don't know why we would do this in open session this time.
I'm not sure that it's accurate to say the only thing left is salary. Is that your understanding too, Sean?
That's all I saw. I mean, is compensation.
Yeah, the term, the timing isn't also is a parameter that I thought we would discuss. Is that not something that we plan to discuss?
I saw a fully finished contract here, so I thought we'd do parameters, but since we have basically a fully finished contract, I just figured we'd just do it in open session. So I do think this is different than the last time when we created a contract together. It just didn't seem like something we needed to do in closed session.
Well, I think the entire contract is up for, I mean, we're here to talk about what we can and can't do. And this is the exact same thing we did when we did the last approval. We went into closed session, we talked about salary, we talked about benchmarks, we talked about all the other terms that you go into for a superintendent contract. So it's not just salary, it's all the other terms. And although there may be a sample contract, we haven't determined any of them yet.
Yeah, I understand how we ended up with a sample contract just to see where we were after the recommendations from the lawyer. I don't necessarily accept this as a final product. Today was about discussing what are the parameters that we are going to. That was what today was for. So I don't agree that there's only one thing to talk about. I guess that's really right now what I'm saying. I had a much more open mind about discussing everything that is here, and then figuring out what exactly we need to carry into open session if there is any discussion or direction that's needed. So I still planned on utilizing the closed session so that we can discuss, everything that we see in the sample contract and make sure that we know clearly what we are directing for negotiations. This sample contract was for form and for guidance, not here's where we are, just one last thing to do. That is not the case.
I guess I'd say that's what I thought too, that we'd be talking through each of the individual parameters. That's what the point of this discussion is.
So let's, is there any other discussion on the amendment to keep this in open session on the agenda? Okay, let's do a roll call vote on the amendment to make the session open. Trustee Worden?
No.
Trustee Holm?
No.
Trustee Klepp?
No.
Trustee Jeup?
Yes.
Trustee Cotton?
Yes.
And I am a no. So it fails 2-4. Okay. back to the approval of the closed meeting agenda for today. Is there a motion? The motion's already on the table, it's been seconded. Is there any other discussion about the approval of the closed meeting agenda? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote on the approval of the closed meeting agenda. Trustee Worden,
Yes.
Trustee Hall,
Yes.
Trustee Klepp,
Yes.
Trustee Jeup,
No.
Trustee Cotton.
No.
And I am a yes. That passes 4-2. Okay, public comment. Is there anybody who would like to have public comment? Okay. Then I will make a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Section 81H of the Open Meetings Act to consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute, including information or records subject to the attorney-client privilege exempt pursuant to MCL 15.2431G.
You need,
Support.
you need 2/3 vote to go into closed session under H.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. So I made a motion. Is there
I'm sorry.
support?
Okay.
Support.
Okay. Again, this will be a roll call vote. Trustee Worden,
Yes.
Trustee Hall,
Yes.
Trustee Klepp,
Yes.
Trustee Jeup,
No.
Trustee Cotton,
No.
and I am a yes. So that is 4-2. We cannot enter into closed session. So going forward from this point, I would say that we need to proceed with trying to define what parameters we can per our resolution that officially authorized the appointment of Dr. Bishop, to make sure that the board president, myself, and our counsel here, John Gierak, can effectively negotiate the contract as the next step. So
I have a motion.
yes.
I know that Trustee St. John wanted to be here for these negotiations, and she's very ill. So I make a motion that we table this until she can be here.
Because you don't want to talk about it in front of the public.
I think that's an inappropriate comment, Trustee Jeup. I
No, they
mean,
don't.
we entered it. We've always done this, and I don't recall ever entering into doing this in open session. And I think it's inappropriate. So I'm making a motion to table this.
So, motion to table this order of business to a later date. Is there support?
Support.
Okay, discussion?
Do we know when that later date would be? I think we owe it to Dr. Bishop to give him some parameters in terms of when we would be discussing things.
Well, I mean, he doesn't start until, I agree with you, we do owe that to him, but he doesn't start until September, so I think we have some time. My motion, I would amend that to do it, depending on Mr. Gierak's schedule, I would make a motion that we do it at the next board table, which I believe would be April 6th.
So I guess I would ask the two dissenting votes if we are planning to reschedule this and re-invite the attorney to come back at an additional cost, knowing that we would then have the votes to go into closed session. Would you rather just do it now that we are here, or are you willing to wait on
I'd
that?
rather do it now in open session. Yeah.
That's not my question.
I'd like to have a compensation expert. I think that we don't have a compensation expert here. We haven't heard from a compensation expert. And if we're going to reschedule, that's the necessary thing. Someone who could talk about different compensation options like we had last time. If we're going to talk about what we did last time, we had the Michigan Association of School Boards give us compensation range, talk about different types of compensation. I think that that's one of the missing things in this entire conversation.
So you're in support of the motion to table?
Yeah, I guess so, because I think that that's the number one thing we're missing in this entire conversation. Everything else here we can make decisions on, but without any kind of context. We have some superintendent salaries with zero context to them. What's their experience? That kind of thing. We should have some kind of meeting that talks about compensation, whether it's Michigan Association of School Boards, whether it's, I don't know, any kind of compensation expert.
All right, so, I mean, that was the plan, to have Mr. Gierak here serve as our compensation expert. He's negotiated even a number of the contracts that are being used right now as the comparisons in like districts. So I'm not sure what qualifications above and beyond Mr. Gierak's expertise you're looking for in terms of a compensation expert.
So he's holding himself out as a compensation expert?
I'm not saying that. I'm asking you what you're looking for a compensation expert so that I can try to get all of the right people into the room the next time we reschedule this meeting.
I don't understand why I guess I'm at a loss as to why we went into closed session each and every time, and we had about, 4 or 5 meetings about Dr. Tuttle's contract, her compensation package, all of the different parameters. I mean, I recall meeting at least 4 times, and we always did it in closed session, and why are we doing it differently now? It makes no sense to me. I mean, the only thing I've heard is that we have a different lawyer in the room right now. And now we're gonna hold this meeting up because we wanna do it differently because we have a different superintendent candidate? That doesn't make sense to me.
And it doesn't make sense to me that we wouldn't continue to do this in the
Well,
public eye.
We
So,
did it for John
you're
Dean, we
interrupting
did
me.
that in closed session. When we did it for Dr. Tuttle, which again, we met at least 4 times because we went back and forth about things. And we always met in closed session, each and every single time. And now we're doing it differently now.
We've done a lot in this process differently. We had the compensation discussions, that was all done previous to finding our candidates, right? That was all
I mean,
done.
No,
but I'm-
that's what this meeting is for.
That's what this meeting's
for.
This
I-
meeting was for having those
But we're doing-
conversations.
Exactly, but last time, if you're talking about what happened last time, we did it differently last time. We're all
Well,
out of
regardless
order, so-
of which, the process that we chose, we voted on it, we had a process, we chose a process, we chose a candidate, and now here we are with a superintendent candidate that we voted 7-0 to choose as our next superintendent, and now you wanna do it differently because it's Dr. Bishop as opposed to Dr. Tuttle? It doesn't make any sense to me. We have an attorney here, and I'm pretty sure that, Trustee St. John wants to be here for these not the negotiations discussion, but we're gonna hold this up because you won't vote to go into closed session. Is that what I'm
And-
understanding?
What I'm understanding is you won't talk about it in public. So this is easy, we can do this right here, right now, and
So
that's
you-
what,
It's-
that's
I
where
would
we're
vote to
at.
go into closed
So-
session if Mr. Gierak leaves.
Okay, so the motion on the table is to table this order of business. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion specific to tabling this order of business to a later date?
I have a question, you just laughed, and I just wondered why you just left at that comment.
I didn't laugh.
Is there any other discussion related to tabling this order of business to a later date? Okay, so this is not a 2/3 threshold. This is a simple majority. On the motion to table to a later date, Trustee Worden,
Yes.
Trustee Hull,
Yes.
Trustee Klepp,
Yes.
Trustee
No.
Jeup, Trustee Cobb,
No.
and I'm a yes. Order 2 is sustained. Okay, there are no decisions on any matters discussed in closed session. We didn't enter closed session. There's no motion to return to open session, so we didn't move to closed session, so we're looking left at number 7, adjournment. We are adjourned.
Are you available on the 6th?
We'll talk about it later. We'll talk